I never had a definition for what mental health was. I didn't understand what it meant or what a mental illness was. I didn't have a clue.
I find that people really shy away from that term mental illness. It's frightening. It's, for some reason, it's frightening.
It's obvious if someone has a broken leg, but not if they're depressed.
In recent years, society's recognition of mental health and mental illness has begun to increase. However, this has been followed by a distinct stigma. Throughout the duration of this documentary, I will endeavour to look into what mental health really is in order to uncover the secret behind the stigma.
Mental health, as I see it, and I think it's commonly accepted, is something that we all have, just exactly the same way that we have physical health. It is how we are in terms of our psychological, our emotional, and our social well-being. So basically it covers every aspect of life. I find that people really shy away from that term mental illness. It's frightening. It's, for some reason, it's frightening. It falls into two very broad general camps. You've got your common mental health problems. Every week, 1 out of every 6 people will experience a common mental health problem. Things like depression, anxiety, panic. The other side is the more severe, more psychotic illnesses like schizophrenia, very severe bipolar disorder, personality disorders. There's a whole list. They are illnesses where people lose their grasp of reality through different avenues, and it's not conclusive. They can be triggered by all sorts of things. Some of them we understand, some of them we have no idea why. Misuse of drugs, alcohol, are going to make us more vulnerable to developing psychotic problems. How did the common stuff start? Well, sometimes it's because we're not emotionally resilient. Sometimes it is a biological thing. There's something lacking in the brain, isn't producing enough of the right hormones.
I first began to understand the concept of what mental health and mental illnesses were when I was about 14, and I started to suffer from symptoms of depression and self-harm and mild anxiety. And before I'd had a chance to ascertain my own definition of what it all meant, I found that I had to deal with it myself and also deal with this stigma that was attached to it. I feel the stigma stems from the fact that mental illnesses can't physically be seen. It's obvious if someone has a broken leg, but not if they're depressed. People find it difficult to understand the concept of mental illnesses and often jump to the conclusion that it's being done for attention or being made up.
If we're struggling in an area of anxiety, if you're suffering from panic attacks or depression, then it's going to give you a certain sort of pattern of thinking. And it's like we're not very understanding of that. I think that stigma that's there, it's like it's not acceptable, has been there for a long, long time.
I definitely don't think there is enough help out there for people experiencing mental health problems, and I think that can help to fuel the stigma, because if it's not seen as being a priority, then people aren't going to accept that it is a genuine problem and a genuine issue. And I also don't think there's enough help out there for young people, and I think that's maybe because everyone just assumes that younger people don't have anything to worry about. But nowadays, I definitely think that arguably young people have as much pressure on them as some adults do. Personally, I never felt that I was given help quick enough, and that's not something that someone who already feels worthless and isolated needs. It's just an added pressure and a burden to them. People just simply need to talk about it more and be more vocal about things they're experiencing and how they're feeling. The stigma is just fueled by ignorance, and if people have better knowledge around the subject, then that won't be as much of an issue anymore.